Okay, I'm going to start now by making an outline of the guitar body on the back. And here I'm just lining up and making sure that I've got it centered with the center line down the back. And notice it's still in the go bar on the cradle. And I'm just going to take a pencil and roughly mark this in. And just be sure and don't make it too small. If anything, leave a little overhang. And now go ahead and cut that out with a coping saw. And then you want to make some pieces. I'm using some scrap maple that I had. And I've got 3 pieces here for the bracing. And then you're going to mark where these go according to the plans. And then I'm just going to draw in that line so that I'll know where they're placed as I glue them up. And now I'm going to get some scrap wood here and just put that behind the back, just to have something to clamp to without having to clamp directly onto the back wood of the guitar. And then I'm just gluing these up with regular wood glue. And the real purpose of these braces here is that since we have a curvature on the back, if you don't have these braces in place, your back could sort of bow across the width of the guitar. And this way it ensures that the back stays nice and straight as it bends along that curvature. Here I'm just taking some C-clamps and clamping everything together. Do the same with the other 2 braces. And then I'm just taking a little dovetail saw, and I'm going to cut the ends off and allow the room for the kerfing on the sides to touch the back. And you can see here how we've left a little room and just angled it so that it'll line up as close to the kerfing as you can. And you want to do that with the other 2 pieces as well. And then you've got all 3 cut. I'm just going to do a test fit on the back and just make sure that everything's in place and that those cuts are good and that the back can be sealed up. But I'm not gluing it in just yet. Now I'm just going to take a chisel and I'm just going to shape these braces closer to what I want the finished look to be. And here I'm just kind of making them a little more narrow and giving them a little bit more of a thinner shape, you know, just to take a little of the weight off the guitar and without sort of losing any of the structural strength of the brace. And once I get it roughed out, I'm just going to sand them till their final shape. And there you can see how I've just sort of rounded it off and taken off those squared edges. And then you want to, if you want to put a label in there, I've made one here and signed it. And I mean, you can put any kind of label that you want in here. And you just want to mark according to the plans, where the center of that label's going to be. The one I'm using is actually the same size as a sound hole, and it'll be right above that top brace. Okay, I'm just going to mark it in place and get a good outline of the label. Then I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and glue it down. I'm just going to take a cloth and smooth it out so there aren't any ridges or anything in the label, and then just glue it in place. Okay, before we close it up, we need to take a little piece. This is actually a piece of ebony, some extra that I had from the headstock overlays, and I've kind of planed it to where it's about the thickness of the soundboard, and we need to shape it so that it'll fit inside the lattice work, and this will support the bridge. Here I just put it where I wanted it to go, and I'm just marking where the lattices cross over it so I can cut those edges off. I'm going to do that with a coping saw and just sort of cut those corners off until you've got a piece that looks like this. And now this, you just want to fit it in now. It's cut pretty rough at first, so just take a little sandpaper and a block and smooth down your edges until you get a nice fit. And then once you've got a good fit, I'm actually going to use some of the epoxy that I have and glue that in place. Okay, now we've done our test fit. We've got our label on. The bridge backing plate is in. Everything's nice and cleaned up, sanded, and we're ready to glue down the back. Now you may notice I've got this clamp on the sides. As we push down and clamp the back to the body, it may cause those sides to spread a little bit. So I just have a clamp there at that widest point to hold all that in place where it needs to be. I've actually got the sides cut to the width that they need to be to match the body. So as long as we're flush on those 2 points, we know that we're at the right width. Make sure you've got plenty of your clamps ready. Kind of get them. You're going to need some that are a little thinner than others. So get those all adjusted and ready to go. And then I'm going to take some wood glue and cover our kerfing. Make sure you get that neck block really well, and the bottom block as well. And then I'm just going to smooth it all out. Clean up any excess that I have. And then we can put the back in place. Again, make sure that our center lines all match. And I'm going to start sort of in the highest point with the clamps. And kind of work back and forth from side to side. And again, on these first few clamps, make sure that it doesn't move and get off center. Make sure that your center line stays in place. And then just keep adding the clamps on around about every 1.5 to 2 inches. You want to place a clamp. And again, I've kind of got the high point in that curve done, and then I'll work out toward the ends. And then here you can see all the clamps in place. And we're just going to set that aside and let it dry for at least 24 hours.